And he and a partner started the Victor Talking Machine Company. You can see him here with a nice big acoustic machine. There was no standard size for early 78s, early flat discs. They came in size from 7 inches to 10 inches, and they ranged in speed from 60 RPM up to 130 RPM. So Berliner here in the picture, he and his partner formed the gramophone company, which eventually became the RCA, the Victor Talking Machine Company. And in 1912, they standardized at 78 RPMs. It's kind of interesting that in those cities where electricity was at 60 cycles, it ran at, they played at 78 RPMs. But if your city happened to be running on 50 cycles, they ran at about 70 RPMs. All early recordings were done acoustically at the very beginning. And again, lots of different incompatible formats. And we got kind of lucky because Matt brought some examples that we can pass around and you can take a look at. I'm going to show you here. This is what is called an Edison diamond disc. Edison used a very thick material, you can see, and his grooves, the music was recorded vertically. And his was the only needle that would play, his system was the only one that would play his records correctly. So you can kind of pass that around and check it out.
If anybody wants those, you're welcome to have them. They're grooved for her pleasure.
And here is an acoustically recorded Victor 78. Now this one is not an Edison diamond disc, so it's a mono disc with the signal going right to left in the groove. Interestingly to me, Edison could get about 4 minutes plus out of a side, whereas these 78s, typical 78s, can go about 3 minutes, just a little over 3 minutes, which really affected the length of performances.
Do you know how they set at 78 RPM? How did that number?
I do not know how they chose that number. Do you know?
No, it's interesting that it's not 60 or 70 or 80 or.
Yeah, it's interesting.
So does it play 4 minutes? Because it's going up and down, and so it doesn't the wiggle.
His groove spacing,
Yeah,
he was able to get a tighter groove spacing
because it's going up and down.
because of the way he did his grooves. Let's see. So electric microphone was developed in the early 1920s, and the first commercial recordings were recorded, released in 1925. Now, so that's all I've got on the background of 78s. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about grading of 78s. This grading system comes from what is called the Vintage Jazz Mart, VJM standards. And these are well-known standards for grading 78s. And I want you to think for a minute, why are we talking about the grading of 78s? Because you're going to listen to some music tonight on some 78s that are badly worn. And you have to kind of appreciate the historical context. Why do people collect 78s? Why do they care about 78s? Well, imagine that you lived at a time like my great-grandfather, who was born in 1867. And he had the only music he'd ever heard was at church or people that he knew who could sing or play guitar or play fiddle. And he lived on the Walla Walla River. And sometime in the early part of the 20th century, the Victor Talking Machine Company did their tour where they were promoting their record playing machine. And they would rent a theater, and they did this in Milton Free Water, Oregon. and they brought a vocalist, and they brought the Victrola, and the guy sang, and then they played the record. And when my great-grandfather, Raleigh J. Gray, heard that, he said, man, I'm all in. And so I inherited his Victor talking machine, and I kept it for many years. And I finally moved it along to someone who could appreciate it more. So,
Were they expensive at the time?
I don't really know. I think they probably would have been a significant investment. But they didn't have televisions.
Yeah.
It was like, man, this is the greatest thing. So so I've kind of gotten off track with my storytelling. But you got to appreciate that these early recordings, nobody had ever heard anything like this, and you are hearing music that is really from another time. Ian and I were talking. I don't know where Ian ended up. But, in a way, a 78 is a time machine. And that's a part of what we're going to do tonight, is we're going to do some time travel. And so, here's some quick on the grades. So, there's no such thing as a near mint, really a near mint 78 or a new 78. Nobody can say definitively that a 78 has never been played. So the closest you're ever going to get is nearly mint, but and we'll play some 78s tonight that look pretty clean. So these are the grades, and if anybody who's ever bought records will be familiar with these kinds of grades. Near mint, E+, VG+, and this grading system they use for both LPs and 78s. But I'm going to go down here into the middle part of the grading system because this is probably where most of my 78s are. They're in the average condition with scuffs and general use, dull finish, moderate wear. Down here, there's even more wear. And down here, it says a D- 78 is quite playable, but distortion and heavy graying in loud passages. Music remains loud in most passages, and there's surface noise. You'll hear some tonight. People even collect 78s down into these categories because it's the only place you're going to hear that music. And if you're interested in that kind of stuff, you're going to put up with it. So that's all I've got about this PowerPoint slides, and we'll now stop and I'll put on some music. Please.
Can you tell me what you mean by gray throughout? What is gray?
Probably the surface of the record is gray. It's no longer shiny, it's no longer black. And here's something that's kind of interesting about the early 78s that are being passed around, is that these actually had a material to sharpen the needle embedded in there. So you could actually rotate your needle and turn it around and get some more plays out of it.
Something interesting.
Yeah,
Something interesting
they were shellac until probably the 1950s. And so a lot of my sides that I'm going to be playing are shellac, and then we'll get into some records from the 50s.
Yeah.
So first up,
Question. So
Yeah.
when did they phase out? Like when was their heyday? And
they phased out really probably by the late 50s. 45 RPM record format took over, and LPs.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that Edison, on his deathbed, he said, "I really did invent the phonograph." And the reason why is, a lot of us come from labs here, and one of the first labs was Edison's lab, right, which eventually became GE. But, you know, he had so many people working for him, but he took all the credit. He took all the credit, but he felt bad about it. You could tell, because on his deathbed he said, "I really did invent the phonograph." So I suppose that he probably took that one from the ground up.
I think there was a guy in France who also invented, right about the same time, invented phonographs. I mean, I've heard that, but I don't know for sure.
Well, maybe Edison didn't know.
Okay, so I can't account for everybody's musical taste. What you're gonna hear tonight, the records I've chosen are ones that I think are worth listening to. And this will give you a chance to judge whether or not it's worth it to sit through some surface noise or not. And I've got a bunch of records here to play, and Don's brought some records that he's gonna share with us. And we won't make this last too long. Oh, Jerry, did you bring some? Just one. Okay, good. So this, we're gonna start out with a 1950 release. This is the Five Blind Boys.
Well, in all the right to see your life. Well, got right to see your life. One day God told, my God told, my God told, say you must be born again. You have a right to see a life. Well, you know I got a right to see a life. Lord, you know I got a right to see a life. One thing I told, yes, indeed. Lord said you must be born again. You got a right to see a
We'll go to the other side. So you got a feeling for that, and now you can
Yeah.
understand why.
I'm feeling that.
And my experience is better the music, the worse the condition of the record.
It's been played.
So can you tell me
What would you
something
rate that one
about-
at?
in my wrong. Soul and shield. Just a little wheel. In the middle of a wheel. Oh, Lord. Lord, Lord. very late at night, or when I read that sick.
One thing I can't tell, now, if I was at home, I would listen to the whole side. I can't tell from you guys whether or not you want to listen to the whole side, or whether you want to get a taste. I see a thumb up, what does that mean?
Say it again.
You want the whole thing? Okay.
If it's good, play the whole thing.
We'll keep doing that.
So what year was that recorded?
That was 1950. And here is, this is a record, if you want to see what a gray record looks like. This is a gray record. Yeah, yeah.
Before you get too far into this, could you talk about, the system we're hearing it on?
Yeah.
The
Yeah, so,
cartridge, the table, you know, all
yeah,
that.
so it's a Gerard. Go ahead, Eddie.
Yeah. So kind of interesting, right?
Yeah.
So the mid-range horns that you're hearing, I think the one in the left channel is probably 1947 or 1948, and the one in the right channel is probably from 50 or 51. The bass horns are probably from 50 or 51.
So this is right in that era,
Yeah, the compression drivers are all original compression drivers with original diaphragms, and they're from probably 56 to 58 approximately. And there's no cine conductors.
Listen to that one?
Right, like.
I don't know if he ordered it.
They're not all, they're not all gonna be.
The amplifiers have a two rectified power supply. So for better or for worse, you could have very closely had this sound in 1950.
So cartridge, table, that,
So the table is a Gerard 401. Mark, do you know about what year that would have been on the 401?
65.
65 to 75.
60, okay.
That was
So,
early.
okay, for a 401. All right, so mid-60s turntable. It's an SME 3012 arm. It's a Series 2 arm, which I think is probably going to be 75 to 85. So the source element, oddly enough, is the most recent. Does that cover it?
Yeah.
It's a,
Generously loaned to us by David Hicks, Grado 78E cartridge.
and it does have the larger 3 mil elliptical diamond.
Eddie, you tracking weight?
We're just shy of 4 grams, right about 3.8, 3.85, I think. Yeah.
Love it.
Right now,
We are using Keith Berge has generously brought his RIA, his equalizer, and we're listening to US equalization for 78, not RIAA or anything else. And this is going to be Elmer James.
Yeah.
This is 1951 Catfish and Cruise.
This is legit. And we're listening to both channels?
Yeah, it's getting nasty. Gut bucket.
Will I
Can I get you some? I'll clean up order in a minute. Thank you.
when I did die?
Kind of you. Sorry, I should have. Yeah, no, not at all.
I have no words on my little girl. Looking out after, looking out after, looking out after, looking out after. Well, I'm broke, baby, I'm hungry, baby, I'm running down, baby, well, my queen, I'll be mountain out, stay all night, stay all night, stay all night, stay all night.